Dapper trade review. Boom, bang, boom, bop. CTIB. Market was a complete fart ass today. Completely fell off in the morning. Um, I was in Fubo. God, I keep showing my account info, bro. I was in Fubo. It closed above 40. This is just one example. The whole market collapsed pretty much, all the way down about. I think it was down like 12 or 15% down in this area. But luckily the dip was bought up down here. Everyone's freaking the fuck out down here. Um, and the dip was bought, and as soon as it broke this line, came up and tried to break this trend line, and then got pushed back down, and then it showed support. So I just added for a day trade, and it pushed back through, which made everyone happier, and then volume started coming back in the market. Yeah, so definitely a huge panic day, and then volume came immediately back in, and then it's just a fucking crazy market. Like this whole week's been really slow for most tickers, um, and I think we could all predict that something like this was going to happen because generally when the market slows down, it will usually correct itself, and yeah. All right, looking at CTIB on the daily, it's got a nice uptrend pushing up through here. Um, we're gonna go ahead and just break this down. Okay, sorry. All right, so on the yearly, it looks like this thing's got some previous resistance in here. Um, so we gotta watch that closely. There's overhead supply. I mean, I don't know where this was. Where did this open at? Opened at three. Okay, so like $4. So anything above $4, we got to be looking at for resistance. Possible support down here, but you're not going to want to be buying it below 3 if it opens at 4. It's a big fade. So maybe some in here. Up in here, 415. 415, maybe 599. And for now, 599 would be a good target on this thing. All right, so weak market anyways, but we're still going to go through this whole thing. Now we'll go to the shorter time frame and see that it gapped up in PM yesterday. So we'll get some nice trend lines going here. And the whole idea is just to start on the larger time frame and slowly go lower and lower. This really only works a lot of the time in the morning, like when you're just waking up and you're wanting to put in your trend lines, because if you do all this technical analysis when you're getting into a quick trade, a quick squeeze or momentum trade, um, it's not going to work out as well. A lot of the times you'll miss a high squeeze. I actually did this morning. I woke up a bit late and I actually saw it breaking up through here through 388, and it squeezed all the way to the 466. And I was happy for whoever got in, but I was of course I was bummed that I wasn't able to catch that. So all right, so we got 415 through here. That would be the price target for if it's gapping up here. We want to see if we can get even shorter time frame. Obviously the market was shit today, but we'll just keep going shorter and shorter until we get to opening price. And here's one more. See how these are respecting these lines. Now we'll zoom in. What the fuck? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so now we're coming up. It looks like it's gonna keep pushing. At this point, resistance has been clearly defined through here. This is that 415 level that it couldn't break. So there's sellers in this little zone here. So it's good to note this, especially pre-market. If it's going to be trying to break up out of that, it's a nice level to watch, as well as this level down here. But it looks like it's ascending. Blah blah blah. Sells off. Yeah, there's not much here. But we got a double bottom that looked bullish. It looked somewhat ascending. So lighter size caution could have been taken here. This is the leading gapper, and for it to fade like this wasn't too hot. And so let's say we're coming down here in the morning. We can try our best to trade the chop and just respect these lines. So as we can see through here, it looks like there's a little bit of resistance in the intraday very short time frame here. But we saw that it was ascending through here. It quickly recovered off of, I don't know what support it found. It was just, oh, you know what? It was down here from earlier. I didn't draw in my resistance lines. Yeah, so like up in here, here's another support zone. So at this point, we're like, okay, it's finding support in previous PM gap up right in here, double bottoms, these little these little drawdowns. This was on bigger volume, but then as we get in here, it's lower volume pullbacks with high volume back in. This was a sell-off back down to here, but as soon as it hit that level, it reverted back on okay volume, so it reconsolidates. So in a way, we could say that this is the initial spike, A, and then this is B, and then this is C consolidation. Double bottom down here, right? Pushing higher highs, or higher lows, I mean, right through here, and comes back and consolidates. Now it's looking like it's compressing even more on volume. So as it pushed higher, it got better volume. Now, right before this thing breaks out, is what I talked about yesterday. Volume almost completely compresses and then pushes up through here. And then now, at this point, if I'm buying into this with the overall market conditions, I'm not buying dips because a lot of the times those will collapse when there's not a lot of strength in the market. And for me personally, I wanted to add above here 391. So you place your limits buy here, and this is really the only play that you can get into today. Limit buy there, get in at 392-ish, and this thing just pushed. It was insane to 432, and I would have already started having limit sells at 415-ish, and it pushed all the way through there. And once it pushed through that 415, it had break 442, and me, I don't know, while I was live trading, I was like, there's no way it's going to push through 442. And it reconsolidates at that 415 level, 417 level, 420 level, where there's previous resistance, which is good, and only took a 1 minute 1 minute breather, which was even more bullish. And so you could have possibly added here for the higher push, but it's a bit risky. There's another 20 cents on the upside. You trimmed about half here, and now at this point I'm scaling once it hits that new high. Of this is the recent high. So it smacks that new high. I'm scaling out here, might continue and consolidate. And then finally it gets to the psychological level of 5 and gets reverted. So now that's the new high to break. If this does come back down, this is your new resistance line if you're looking to re-enter. But 5 is usually, especially when you have this much resistance up in here, 5 is usually the spot to reverse whole number psychology. So now it comes back down, and so if you weren't able to get in here, you're looking for an ABC pattern again. You got to respect the previous highs and stuff, and so now you got these trend lines coming through here. And this is the shortest time frame trend line. So as that comes back down, you kind of wanted to see it bounce here at VWAP. That would have been a really good spot to dip buy in here, potentially, or for just to find support to reaffirm your potential of coming back from 430s to 5. But it broke that level, and that's VWAP and the trend line, which is a definite continuation pattern to the downside. So at this point you want to be cautious once it breaks that strong support. That's a strong support, and it comes back down to here, finds support there, and then now you're like, okay, well, it found support down here, maybe it's just a little weaker. So here's your A, B, and then now here's your C consolidation. At this point, you want it to come back up and break that 440 level, that previous high, and come back up in here and reconsolidate for the potential high squeeze. So it is kind of shaky and not a lot of dip buys here, but it does make a bottom, as you can see in here, and then holds it. So now you're like, okay, let's dig one from this bottom here and draw this out. So now it's made that low, bounces off of here. Could have dip bought in here if you were confident about it, but again, you broke that line. So now it needs to break through this trend line. See how weird, like how perfect it respects this line on the downside? That's bearish. This is when shorts are going to come in. It cannot break this line, you know? So it needs to hold this line, but it also needs to break this line and this line. So what you're hoping for, if this dips back down, you're hoping for a dip buy here, but you're a bit more cautious now because it looks like it's more going towards the short side because it got denied hard there. So I wouldn't be dip buying here because of how big this wick is, you know, and how the volume came in on it. And then it breaks that line and you don't get your ABC pattern, and of course, yes, it does fade for the rest of the day. So there's little things that you can see throughout the entire pattern that can kind of hint at either the stock strength or weakness, and depending on your judgment of it, how strong or weak the stock is will define your position size. So if I'm seeing this late day, I'm like, I missed this one. I want to see if I can get back in after this B down trend. The market's looking weak anyways, so I'm already bringing down my size in that sense. But I do like that it did bounce off this other trend line, this lower trend line. It did break this area, so I'm going to reduce my size a little bit more. These are all things that you just got to think about and maybe even voice out to your screen. And so you're adding here, if you bought this first, if you bought the second dip even, you're not going to be out for a loss once it broke this level. So yeah, dip buy here, didn't really, it consolidated for a little bit on really low volume, so you're already like, but it broke up out of here and you're looking for it to break that line, so it couldn't, it fell back down, so you're probably selling in here. But at this point, your position size is honestly probably 25% of what it was before, because you want to be very cautious in this market, and then it's also showing weakness. So that's my trade review for Tuesday, February 23rd. Not a lot of volume, but there's volume coming back in at the end of the day, which is great. So let's hope that tomorrow brings buyers.